Alright, it's officially UFC 290 Fight Week, International Fight Week, and I feel bad for this card because it suffers from hype. Really, this card was super hyped up, like I always mentioned. We were supposed to have Jon Jones versus Stipe, and as the co-main event, we were supposed to have Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington. Both fights fell through. Maybe that'll happen in November at MSG, but regardless, this fight card is actually really good and honestly underrated. Like, nobody's talking about how good this card is, even the prelims. Of course, some fights fell through, and I'm talking about Jack Della Maddalena versus Sean Brady. I was really excited for that matchup. Obviously, it's not going down because Sean Brady had to pull out due to some sort of elbow injury. But regardless, there's a lot of fun fights on this card, and tomorrow I'm going to be breaking down Brandon Moreno and Alexander Pantoja 2. So tune in for that. I think that fight is interesting. But the main event is Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. If you guys remember, the last International Fight Week headline was against Brian Octagon. Obviously, that was a crazy fight, a crazy good performance from Volkanovski, even though he almost got submitted. But either way, if we even see a performance close to that, this is going to be a crazy main event. But let me know in the comment section below, what fight are you guys most looking forward to? For me, I'm most excited for this main event. This is a very good main event, and it's a lot closer than a lot of people, including the odds, are making it out to be. Like, Volkanovski at most should be a 2-1 favorite. Even that I think is crazy. Like, I think they should be a lot closer in odds, but I get it. He has a good resume. Obviously, coming off of that Islam fight, which, yes, he lost the fight, but a lot of people view that as a win, including myself. I scored it for Volkanovski when I watched it live. It was for Islam, so the fight was very close, so I'm not really too mad about that decision. However, though, Volkanovski has so much hype going into this fight, and if he beats Yair Rodriguez, this guy might be the greatest featherweight of all time. But before I get into that, I just want to remind you guys to subscribe. If you guys don't know, we're trying to hit 20K by the end of the year, so please hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to have like a goal for 12K, you know, like I want to do something at 12K, but let me know what you guys would want me to do if I hit 12,000 subscribers. I don't know, give me some ideas in the comment section below. But while you're thinking of that, listen to me talk about this big main event here. Alright, Yair Rodriguez, Alexander Volkanovski. Now, obviously, Volkanovski is pound for pound #1, obviously besides Jon Jones, but when you look at, you know, the past recent years, he is pound for pound #1. Obviously, Jon Jones had one good performance against Cyril Gane, and I do think he deserves to be at the top because of everything else he's done. But I'm talking about recent UFC history. Like, Volkanovski is that guy, and I do want to see him fight Islam again. I've been saying I want to see a rematch. I would have rather than not even have done this fight and just done an Islam rematch right away, but they're saving him from Abu Dhabi. I guess the timing doesn't really work out, but we have an interim champion in Yair Rodriguez, who is coming off of that win against Josh Emmett, a very dominant performance. Even though he did get hurt at the end of the first round, Yair Rodriguez really showed off his skills, and I think that's kind of the performance you want heading into a championship fight. You want to have a performance where people are like, holy shit, this guy is good, and that's what Yair did. Yair submitted him from the back, destroyed him on the feet. It was a really good performance from him, and Volkanovski is also coming off of a good performance, even though, yes, I know he lost, but it still is a pretty good performance, especially for a guy that was so small and such a big underdog. But for this fight, a lot of people are picking Volkanovski, and a lot of people that might not be so big into MMA might say, hey, Volkanovski will win this 100%, and look at his resume, this, that. But guys, I'm telling you, Yair Rodriguez is a terrible matchup for someone like Volkanovski. Volkanovski is much shorter, he's a boxer, he's heavy on the lead leg, and Yair Rodriguez is a long kicker, very active, very fast, and very aggressive. Like, this is a very hard matchup for Alexander Volkanovski, and I want to break down who I think is going to win this fight, and the answer might surprise you. But as always, I'm going to be breaking down what I think their strategy should be, who do I think is going to win, etc. So first, let's start off with Alexander Volkanovski. Now, I think Volk is going to have to be really perfect in this fight, because as we see, Yair just goes crazy. You know, even in those last rounds against Max Holloway, he was hurting Max. And I think standing with a guy like Yair, even though Volkanovski has been so dominant on the feet, I would like to see Volkanovski kind of mix it up. We've seen his strength now against Islam Makhachev. Islam was barely even to take him down. So I think one thing that I'm going to say about Volk and what his game plan should be is to remember that this is a mixed martial arts fight. Don't get caught standing with him. Even if he's winning, you know, still mix it up. You know, I just think going back and forth with Yair Rodriguez, I think Yair has the advantage there. He's much faster. Even though Volkanovski is fast, maybe they're about equal in speed, but I think Yair is actually faster, especially with those kicks. And if they're at range, I could just see Yair absolutely obliterating the kicks of Volkanovski. So I think that, first of all, I think it's important to make it a mixed martial arts fight, incorporate the takedowns. I think Volkanovski is going to have a lot of success in the clinch when Yair is against the fence. We saw Max Holloway have success, and Volkanovski, I think, is stronger than Max Holloway. So I think we're going to see him really do well in the clinch, and maybe you could tire out Yair that way. But I think especially wrestle early, try to tire out those legs, just so the kicks are just slower and slower as the rounds progress. But Yair isn't a guy that is going to gas out. We saw in the Max Holloway fight, his kicks were absolutely insane, even in the last round. Super fast kick. The guy is one of the quickest kickers in the UFC. Like, I'd love to see him against Edson Barboza, just to see who has the better kicks. But regardless, like I said, yeah, I think Volkanovski is going to need to mix it up, and I also think he has to be really aggressive, and that's something that Volkanovski hasn't really been in his career. We saw in Max Holloway in that third fight, he was a little bit more aggressive, and I think it was because he found that he had a speed advantage. But for this fight, I'm not sure that that speed advantage is going to be there. And a good thing for Volkanovski is we know he's going to be there for all 5 rounds. So I think the game plan, like I said, mix it up, be aggressive, aggressive, kind of lower the gas tank of Yair Rodriguez, try to slow down those kicks. I would really game plan against this guy, against Yair Rodriguez. Like, I think if Volkanovski comes in with no game plan, comes in without studying film, and just does what he usually does, I think he's going to lose the fight. I think he's going to have to fight very different to beat Yair Rodriguez. And hey, maybe he's going to be able to outbox him. Maybe he'll be able to out-kickbox him for all we know. But I just think either way, it's a risky move, and I think this is probably the safest bet for him to win. So I think definitely mix it up. Just gas out Yair, even though that's kind of tough to do. And for Yair, I kind of already hinted at this talking about what Volkanovski can't do, but Yair has to kick a lot, especially kick the legs. We see Volkanovski is very heavy on that lead leg. He's more of a boxer that uses leg kicks. Like, Volkanovski's another guy that's kind of hard to tell, like, why is he so good? Because at the end of the day, he really is just a boxer that kind of is on the back foot. I said this about Sean Strickland, except I find that Sean's on the front foot. But Volkanovski is really hard to detail how he's good, but he's just so strong. His cardio, his boxing technique is phenomenal, and his dedication to the sport is unmatched. So I just think that Yair has to kick those legs. I think if he throws in some leg kicks, mixes up the kicks, body kicks, I think he'll have a lot of success, and I think he'll slow down Volkanovski for sure. Give Volkanovski different looks. Like, if I'm him, I want it to be on the feet the whole time, and don't try to exchange with Volkanovski. Do I think Yair could win that fight? I'm not really sure. Honestly, I could see a scenario where he fights on the inside in the pocket and he actually clips Volkanovski. We did see Volkanovski get clipped by Islam Makhachev in the last fight, but like I said, I'm making game plans based on the safest bet for victory, and I don't think that's safe. You could get caught with Volkanovski. He's a fast guy. He's a strong guy as well. I think it's better for Yair to kind of be on the outside, kick, be aggressive, push Volk backwards. With Volk was going backwards against Max Holloway in the last fight, and yes, Max is very aggressive, but I think to beat Yair, it's important to take him backwards. You have to take away that space, because then you won't have space to kick. Max Holloway did a really good job in their fight to do this. That's why he had a lot of success. He also pressed him against the fence, and I think that's what Alexander Volkanovski is going to have to do. But this is about Yair Rodriguez. He has to kick the body, kick the head. Volkanovski got dropped with a head kick in that second Max Holloway fight, and that's all I've been thinking about since this matchup. It's like, we've seen Volkanovski kind of struggle defending head kicks. There's a lot of images I see on Twitter of him, you know, kind of blocking it with one hand, and Yair is a hard kicker. Like, you need to really properly defend it, be ready for it, and be ready for it at all times. Like, he isn't going to rest in that 5th round unless Volkanovski does make this a very tough fight for Yair Rodriguez. He really has to tax the cardio of him in order to win. And I'm going to make my prediction here, and I know this might be controversial, but the pick I am going with is Yair Rodriguez. I actually think that this is a perfect matchup for Yair Rodriguez. Volkanovski is great, and I don't mean to take that away from him, and I do want him to win because I do want to see an Islam rematch, and I don't think that fight will happen if he loses this fight. However, I just think it's really a boxer against a kickboxer. Volkanovski has to be aggressive in this matchup, I think, and we haven't seen Volkanovski really aggressive in a long time. He was debatably against Max Holloway. Another thing is, like, even if Volk gets takedowns, Yair is very aggressive off his back, and I'm not just talking about how he just got a triangle submission that one time against Josh Emmett. I mean, if you look at all of his fights, like, he throws elbows, hammer fists. Like, the guy is super aggressive off his back, and Volkanovski, I don't think will be able to do much on the ground with Yair. At the end of the day, yes, Volkanovski is strong, but he's not a grappler. He's not a wrestler. I honestly am going with Yair Rodriguez by knockout or TKO. Other thing that worries me about Volkanovski, he's very short. He leans his head forward. Yair likes to throw the front kick a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if he, you know, nails him with a front kick. We see Volkanovski wobbled, and maybe he gets a finish that way. Maybe he finishes it on the ground. But that's my prediction. I think we're going to see Yair really do well against Volkanovski. I think we're going to see him blast those legs, blast the body kick, knees up the middle, front kicks up the middle. But I think it's up to Volkanovski. He's going to have to fight very different, I think, to win this fight. But we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen on Saturday night. Guys, thank you guys for watching. Let me know your prediction. I know a lot of you guys are going to comment that I'm crazy, but I just want to remind you guys, I said Jon Jones was going to win. Everybody said I was crazy. I said Moreno was going to win. Everybody said I was crazy. I said Oliveira was going to win. Everybody said I was crazy. Like, how many times must I prove to you guys that I know all? I am the most knowledgeable MMA YouTuber, and you guys should subscribe for that reason. Guys, I'm joking. I know some of you guys don't get that I'm joking sometimes, but I love you all. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm going to respond to a lot of you guys. I'm curious to talk about this fight because honestly, I've been excited for this fight. This is a really interesting matchup. I would have just rather the Islam fight happen just so we get that out of the way, and then we see the Yair Rodriguez fight, because then I don't really care who wins after that. But I'm going to be rooting for Volkanovski simply for the fact that I want to see him against Islam again. I think that's a fun fight, a very fun stylistic matchup. Maybe they do in Abu Dhabi, but we're going to have to see. According to my prediction, I think that's not going to happen. So I think Yair will win. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. Like I say, you guys are the best fan base in MMA. Tomorrow I'm going to be dropping my Brandon Moreno prediction video as well as a reaction to the Ultimate Fighter for tonight. Check out my last video where I talk about Sean Strickland and why I think he's going to fight Israel Adesanya next. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.